What is going on, guys? How y'all doing on this Sunday afternoon? Probably watching football and whatnot. I'm not, though. I'm here live. This is the Club with the Man 1993. And again, we are here live for my live review. The first of two live reviews I'm going to do today as I am doing catch-up. It's Sunday. It's a content day. I've already uploaded 2 turn alerts. I have this live stream. I have my SmackDown live stream. 1 baseball video I want to do. And I'm going to try, no promise, to finish episode 7 of Wolf 3D 30th Anniversary Edition. Try to finish that. And maybe at least get it edited and exported. But I do have another Roller Coaster Tycoon Let's Play I'm going to try to get to today as well. I'm trying to get a lot done today because the next 2 weeks especially, leading up to Thanksgiving, are going to be very busy for me. Even following that, like the weeks to Christmas, I'm sure are going to get even busier too. But with how busy I'm getting, I'm trying to at least, get some stuff, on a decent rhythm. Because we do have 2 pay-per-views coming up. We have Full Gear next Saturday, which I gotta make sure to get my predictions in. Probably will do those on Thursday, I would say. And then, of course, Survivor Series is next week. But, I would say especially the next 2 weeks are going to be kind of hectic. But, again, I'm going to do the best I can to keep up with the content on this channel. We're going to get to it, though, talking about this episode of Dynamite, which took place this past Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. And it took place in Boston, Massachusetts, home of the C Nation, John Cena. I was watching a bunch of random wrestling promos with my fiance over the weekend, showing her some stuff, and I came across the one whenever Paul Heyman was mocking Cena's theme song and entrance and whatnot, which it was pretty funny. But we're going to talk about SmackDown later. We're going to talk about Dynamite now. Overall thoughts. Compared to last week's show, Dynamite was better this week. Because the week before, there was 3 things I enjoyed about it. The rest of that show was a shitfest. And I mean an absolute shitfest. This one was better. It had a couple of things, though, where I'm head scratching, or I really don't care, or, this isn't for me. But it had a few more things of, I was definitely a lot more excited about, intrigued, and it made me a little more interested in Full Gear. Which, of course, 2 pay-per-views in a row, they really haven't announced many matches. A lot of them are kind of last minute. We do kind of have to avoid that. That doesn't quite make the card look as strong as it could look, because I'm telling you right now, there are definitely a few matches on this Full Gear card that I am definitely interested in. One that became official on this past episode, and I think somebody said in the live chat, Mr. Q, the music said it best, it may be my segment of the year, which we will talk about it. But for the live chat, we do have Tyler also. He gave this show a D+. Not as good as me, of course, I gave. Why is this tournament a thing for Full Gear? They're having this eliminator tournament for a number one contendership, and the finals are supposed to be at Full Gear. Yeah, did they do just 1 match on Dynamite? Did they do a second one on Rampage? Just for the first round alone? So how in the world they're going to be able to have a one-on-one match with a finals set up for Full Gear? I have no idea. But, of course, before we leave, we will check on the results from Rampage. I don't watch Rampage anymore. And see what happened on there. But the match actually on this show I was disappointed with. Which we'll talk about that when we get there. And Tyler hates 2022. Why is that, buddy? Anyways, we will roll in. Did I tweet this stream out? Actually, I don't think I did. Let me tweet that really quick. I'm sorry, guys. I just realized I forgot to tweet it out. As I do for my Twitter page, which again, if that was not the case, then I probably would not even have Twitter anymore. Because Twitter is not really the best place for social media anymore, in my opinion. AEW Dynamite live review. Get those hashtags in there. Come on. Okay. We got that fixed. Alright. But yes, so we're going to roll in and talk about this. Again, I do have 2 turn alerts. I already did upload it that I'm confirming. 3 that are pending because I don't know which direction they're going with them. Again, we have this video. 1 baseball topic video. SmackDown review. Hopefully episode 7 of Wolf 3D 30th Anniversary Edition. And then maybe Roller Coaster Tycoon Part 4, which is Diamond Heights. Hopefully all those will be uploaded today. If not, should be by tomorrow. But of course, starting tomorrow, we got to get into getting like Raw, Dynamite, Full Gear preview predictions, SmackDown, all the fun stuff. It's going to be kind of hectic over the next week or so with the holidays. And I do have several, things going on in my personal life right now. Nothing bad, just again, keep saying busy. The man's gonna be a married man next summer, of course, with a bunch of other things going on around it. So just living life, enjoying it, busy, but that's adulthood, as I always say. And of course, let me just drink up some water for a second. All right, so let's roll in now and talk about Dynamite from this past week. And again, please continue to leave your thoughts in the live chat, as always. The show opened up with a good tag match. It was an 8-man tag match. Interesting teams here. We have FTR and the Acclaimed, the current AEW World Tag Team Champions, teaming up to take on the Ass Boys, Austin and Colton Gunn, and Swerve in Our Glories, Swerve Strickland, and Keith Lee. Obviously, of course, again, they had the interesting, thing here with Keith Lee. Obviously, even though he wrestled the match, even during the entrance, it's then showed that him and Swerve are not quite on the same page. They're not agreeing with what they're doing to win their matches. But of course, obviously, he's with the strong suit, the heel. And let me mention this also right now. So I know a lot of people are feeling a little bummed right now because Keith Lee's wife, real life wife, Mia Yim, went back to WWE this week. And I felt that way too. When I saw that, I'm like, dang, if only Keith could come back also. Because, trust me, under Triple H, Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar? Money. And there's rumors that Dominic Dijakovic, who's getting his indie name back, Dijak, or I don't know if he's going to be Donovan Dijak or just Dijak. Anymore, on the WWE app, I have people saved under my favorites that I know maybe getting an update to their name or brand or whatnot, just to see what it changes. But stuff like that really makes me wish Keith Lee could go back to WWE. But I'm not going to say he's in a horrible spot in AEW. Like I said, I like the story they have here with him and Swerve. It gives him something to do, because once Keith Lee is on his own, you're going to be wanting to see him at the top of the food chain, at the top of the main event scene for sure. So the thing is again, I feel like Keith Lee, out of him and Swerve, Keith Lee does not need as much, character development, in my opinion, as Swerve. Swerve, just getting more and more and more dangerous, I feel like is, the focal point, which is why I think some people feel like Keith Lee is taking a little bit of a back seat. But to me, I'm like, well, that's because he doesn't need as much character development, in my opinion. But with that being said, this was still a good match between all 8 of these guys. Obviously, I'm not really the biggest fan of the Ass Club and whatnot, but eventually, I think, didn't the Ass Boys hit the big rig or something like that on on one of the baby faces. I'm not sure, but FTR though gets the win actually. When they hit the big rig, and then they hit a lateral press from Anthony Bowens onto Austin Gunn, and the babyfaces get the victory. Of course, they're still teasing at some point, even though, of course, FTR didn't get it this time. FTR is probably going to get a tag title shot sometime soon after Full Gear. To finish the year being the AAA, Ring of Honor, IWGP, and AEW World Tag Team Champions. Spend themselves as probably the best tag team of 2022, which I would think so. We have that match though to start us off, which was a good hot start to the show. We get an interview backstage, well, not at backstage, from farther away with MJF. This is the first time he's spoken since he got beaten down by the Firm a few weeks ago on Dynamite. He says he was advised by doctors to stay off the road until his match at Full Gear. That match, though, is important. It might just crown him as the face of the next generation of pro wrestling. Which, honestly, it feels like that for sure. Because, again, he's coming off the momentum from his pipe bomb back on June 1st, 2022. But he wants to crown himself as the face of the next generation of professional wrestling. He wants to be the next Bruno Sammartino, the next Dusty Rhodes, the next Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, John Cena. Mention the big money names. Guys are exactly what MJF is. So all he has to do to etch his name in history is have a nice, long title reign. But he's not going to pretend, though, that Jon Moxley is going to be easy. Mox wasn't born to be world champion, but he doesn't have an athletic body in his bone. But he worked his ass off to be the man he is today, and with that, MJF respects that. But MJF, though, was born for this. And he was meant to wave the flag and to do interviews and make everyone talk about wrestling again, which, he does make people talk. That throne, though, is for the taking, and he is going to take it, and he's sick of waiting for his turn. He has had the spotlight stolen from him again and again and again. Of course, he refers back to, I think his match at, what was it, at Revolution when he beat Cody Rhodes. He goes, he references a neck tattoo by Matt Hardy falling like Humpty Dumpty. And then, he mentions, and I'm kind of glad he mentioned this. He mentioned that he says Matt Hardy took the spotlight from All Out in 2020 when he got his first world title shot against Jon Moxley as well. But of course, he meant not only did he mention how the story of that night was Matt Hardy's horrible fall that gave him a concussion that did kind of let the air out of the excitement of that show. Which again, that show could have been really good, but that and then just a lot of stuff happened that it was still, in my opinion, to this day, probably the weakest AEW pay-per-view today. But that happened, and then, of course, he also mentions how we didn't fully say. He mentions that Jon Moxley cheated, which, if you remember from that story, there was a story where Moxley was not able to do the Parajet 9 shift or Death Rider, whatever he calls it now, and of course, the referee was down thanks to tactics from MJF. And after that, that's when Moxley, when the referee was looking, hit the Paradigm Shift. Basically trying to beat MJF in his own game. But I do kind of like that again. They mentioned the history. I just love when they did the history. I still wish they would have done it whenever Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan feuded in 2021. But we're past that. Anyways. But of course, Matt Hardy fell there. And he said by Chris Jericho for a full calendar year. And then on his big return, his spotlight went to a press conference? Once again, referring back to All Out this year, whenever his spotlight, his return was supposed to be the biggest talking point of the night. But what happened? That media scrum happened, of course. So once again, MJF's spotlight got ripped away from him. Ripped away from him. He's not waiting for the spotlight anymore. He's taking it. William Regal bet on the wrong horse, because come Full Gear, the devil gets his due. Then afterwards, we have Stokely Hathaway have a promo how he used to think that he and MJF had the same goals, money and cars and such, but instead he's dick riding Jon Moxley, and the worst crime you can commit is dick riding without a license. So win, lose, or draw at Full Gear, he's going to see MJF in hell. Which, again, I still don't see MJF going all the way through being full out babyface win over Moxley. I still think that, with this is a ruse, but another very well orchestrated hidden ruse to really throw us off. But because, this idea of that, that he keeps getting his spotlight stolen, which is true, and everything else. You don't think he's not a guy with like MJF, who's known to be a huge prick, is not going to go out of his way to make sure whether he pulls off some sort of strange stunt with fooling Moxley to think he was going to fight this fair and then slip away the victory. You don't think he's going to try to do something to literally protect him from getting his spotlight stolen again? Because I'm pretty sure him just winning the match isn't going to just be enough for him. I'm pretty sure he wants to make sure that nobody else is interrupting him. Nobody else is, having a bigger, moment, in the back. I'm pretty sure he's going to do whatever he can to make sure this moment is his biggest moment of his career. So, we will see, of course, what happens with that. Speaking of which, we have this AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. Let me look up something here also before I go on here. AEW World. Oh, forgot that there. Ornament Bracket 2022. Gotta try to find that. Okay. So, let me see here. Wow, actually, from what I see, a lot of these matches are supposed to take place on Rampage. Let me pull up Rampage's results really quick from Friday and see what happened on that show. So we may actually be getting the match at Full Gear for the number one contendership or the finals. But yeah, compared to last year's Eliminator Tournament, this bracket is just not really that great, in my opinion. Come on. Okay, yeah, so Brian Cage defeated Dante Martin. Bandito defeated Roosh. Okay, they had two matches, except for one. Not the Ricky Starks match. That looks like it got kayfabe-wise delayed. But anyway, so the bracket is Eddie Kingston and Ethan Page took place on this show. Bandito and Roosh, Lance Archer and Ricky Starks, Brian Cage and Dante Martin. So, here's the people I would be okay winning this. Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, and Brian Cage would be my top three. Like, Dante Martin, I'll give Dante some rub too. I could see him maybe getting to a Final Four or something, but he didn't win that. Brian Cage won that. You see, Lance Archer, I would not commit to Lance Archer though, because Lance Archer again is someone that they don't think they're going to go all the way with. Ricky Starks is probably was at this time my second pick. There's Bandito and Roosh, which I think Bandito won that match. Like, Roosh just got here, and Bandito just got here. I don't know them both that well yet, so I wouldn't really get behind them. And then, of course, Ethan Page and Eddie Kingston. So I'm looking at this bracket. My first choice, and again, like, not all these guys, to me, are someone I would take super seriously getting a world title shot. Other than, again, Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Dante Martin, and Lance Archer, yes, but he's had so many opportunities, and they're just not going to commit to move forward with him, I feel like, with making him a champion in AEW, in my opinion. So that they announced this. So we have the first match of this tournament. This is where I kind of like a little like thumbs down here. But we have Ethan Page versus Eddie Kingston. And then the match was fine. But then towards the end of the match, so I guess we did have a couple members of the firm come out with Ethan Page. We did have, I think, Hathaway and I forgot who else. Ortiz came back. I think Ortiz took Stokely Hathaway to the back. Let me see here. I think he did cheat, I think, to win this match, but Ethan Page won the match and eliminated Eddie Kingston. And I know there's been some speculation. Some people think that Eddie Kingston's going to turn heel soon. I still don't think that should be the case, as Eddie Kingston does not need to go full on heel with how over, and popular he is. See, here's the thing. I don't hate Ethan Page. My thing, though, is with how long he's been here. He's been here for, 2 years now, I think it is? With how long he's been here, though, I still, even now, just don't think I can look at him, because I think that they want to give Ethan Page, to the finals of this, because, he's part of the firm. They really want to, make you wonder what's going to happen with MJF and the firm. I mean, yes, it could be set, if, MJF just goes full on babyface, it could be set up with a feud between MJF and Ethan Page for the world title at Winter is Coming, which I believe where the match is going to happen. But I just can't. Him being Eddie Kingston feels the same to me as Jinder Mahal defeating Randy Orton. It just, like I said, I don't think he's horrible. It's just I couldn't take him serious right now as a number one contender. Eddie Kingston was definitely, in my opinion, the strongest star I felt in this tournament. If not him, then my second choice is Ricky Starks, who they seem to be having a story of definitely holding the odds against him, as far as because he's probably gonna get past Archer hopefully and take on Brian Cage, and he'll probably get past Brian Cage. And I still think that now that Eddie Kingston's out, Ricky Starks should be the one to win this. Oop. I didn't mean to do that. I bumped the button, meant to hit the down button, but instead it was selected on my OBS. Did not mean to do that. But yeah, I still think Eddie should have won this match. Where Eddie goes from here, though, I don't know. But such a shame, because it feels like he's lost. Well, I think he did have some other stuff going on. But I know, of course, he had the suspension after the backstage brawl he had with Sammy Guevara. I just don't think that Eddie just has not been the same since he lost to Jericho in that Shark Cage match over the summer. That was a very weird decision on my part. They should have put Eddie over on Jericho in that match, I still think. But yeah, that was very strange indeed, for sure, having Paige win the match. We have Roosh being interviewed backstage with the Dark Order. Jose is trying to get number 10 to defect, and he's willing to offer him the first title shot against Roosh when he wins the tournament, and then the title for the AEW World title. Of course, not the case anymore, but the title is still an option. But Roosh tells him to think about it because he doesn't give second chances. John Silver calls him a Roosh bag, and it has to be held back. Then we had this AEW TNT title match with Wardlow and Ari Daivari, with Samoa Joe in Wardlow's corner, as, of course, they've been a duo, and they're being called War Joe. After the match, after Wardlow squashes Daivari, he calls out Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse. Powerhouse. Well, however the song goes. It was quite catchy. Hobbs comes out and says they're doing this on his time. But Wardlow says the title is his and will always be his. And for that matter, he's going to take every title in this company. Now, as he's going on, Samoa Joe is still out there in the ring. And he's standing behind Wardlow. And you can tell by his mannerisms that Joe is like setting up for something. He seems concerned about something. And when Wardlow says the line about he's going to take every title in this company, Joe didn't seem to like that. As he kind of like reacted to it. And then he hits Wardlow in the back of the head with the title. And then puts him in the Coquina clutch. And then Powerhouse is like, I'll see you too. And he'll still kick Joe's ass as well. A lot of people are saying this is a Samoa Joe heel turn. At first I thought yes. But then I also thought it was kind of a way to, like, you know, like, it didn't feel like, you know, I feel like that, you know, Wardlow kind of, like, you know, pushed Samoa Joe to feel a little more protected of his championship, in my opinion. So, I don't know if it's a full-on turn, but it's just for a reason to get some tension between Joe and Wardlow going into Full Gear. Because a triple threat Haas fight with Wardlow, Powerhouse, Powerhouse, Hobbs, and Samoa Joe? Woo! That match definitely interests me for sure. So that should be good. We have also a backstage segment with Jade Cargill and her baddies saying that they're sick of Nyla Rose pretending to be the so-called TBS champion. And she's going to handle things this Friday in Boston. But then, of course, we announced later we are going to get a TBS title match. And I just do not care. I really do not care about this. I'm sorry. This whole, you know, thing with Nyla Rose stealing the title. Again, I don't care. Both of them are heels. They're both... One's not giving me a reason to care about the other. I'm sorry. It's just not working. This is not working for me. We have a little bit of action in the live chat. Let's check the live chat before we move on to the next part, which is, again, probably my favorite part of this show. Promo-wise, at least, though, of course. We got Tyler saying how Keith Lee needs to leave AEW, he thinks. Retribution is a dumpster fire in WWE. Retribution is long gone forgotten, thank goodness. Wrestling News 365. Do you think in the near future we might get Gunther versus Braun Strowman for the IC title, which would be, I think, a hell of a brutal match? I'd be giving that one a shot. Do you think that Ricochet's contract ever expired in the WWE? Do you think he'd ever go to AEW? I don't think, if Vince is still around, he would have probably maybe left, but I think he's going to stay. I think he's in better hands with Triple H. Do you think Cody Rhodes is going to get a push when he comes back to WWE, since all the shit he was doing in AEW before Triple H took over? I still think he will. I still think Cody Rhodes will get a big push when he comes back from his injury. And Tyler's typical stuff there as well. Thank you guys. Yeah, let's talk about this next segment. By far, my favorite part of the night. I mean, my favorite match of the night definitely was the main event. But this segment right here was just one of those segments to me that it was just spot on perfect. It was a segment I will always remember, in my opinion. And it's a segment that I feel like that if I would show a casual viewer, it would make them a wrestling fan, in my opinion. We have this interview segment with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Saraya. Saraya comes out, and she wants to speak to Britt face to face. But first, she has an elephant in the room to address. She knows everybody's been wondering if she's cleared or not. And a couple weeks ago, they took x-rays and CT scans. And unfortunately, for Britt, she is 100% cleared. And as soon, first off, nitpick here. I wish they would not have had her take any bumps or get physical before they announced that she was cleared. Or what they could have done is had her try to get physical, but have officials saying, you can't do that, you've not been cleared. And we don't want to be held responsible for, what happens to you, that this is that. So that was a little bit odd. Even though, of course, they could have probably just said that right away when she came back, probably. Because, again, let's face it. If Saraya was not going to get cleared to wrestle, do you think she would have jumped ship to AEW? I don't think she would have, in my opinion. But I felt it for her. As soon as she said she is cleared, you could tell that she broke character and started getting emotional. And, reasons why? She put it right in this promo. First, she said AEW is her house. But then Britt Baker gets on the microphone. And she says, is there anything more fickle than an AEW fan? Is Saraya does she even know how to do this? She's been coming after her since the day she got here. But why? She thinks she's got it. Britt, though, built AEW from the ground up until it became a fortress. That wrestlers, not superstars like Saraya, wanted to move into. She's damn proud of that, which Britt should be. But that pride turns into resentment very quickly when she has the audacity to skip in here and say this is her house, because Saraya hasn't laid a single brick. But Britt, though, gets it. Saraya's obsessed with her because she's everything she wishes she could have been. And if she thinks that's not true, she left her house and walked into hers, which I'm thinking, oh shit. Because she really, well, let's finish Britt's part of the thing. But she then, of course, says, Britt says that they don't take walk-ins. So, bitch, make an appointment. And to me, I'm like, oh shoot, how does Saraya come back from all that? Like, to me, like, this is one of those promos where it's like there was truth on both ends of the promo. And I think the heel really, like, stacked the odds against the babyface. And Saraya just took the bat and just launched the ball out of the park with her response. And I think because of that, this is why I really like this promo. Because there was so much truth in what Britt Baker said, but Saraya's response was truth also, and it was able to overpower Britt's. This is excellent promo work here by both these ladies. Because Britt said, make an appointment. Saraya sure as hell made an appointment. Saraya says, Britt, you've only been in the wrestling business for 3 years. You don't know what it takes to be a superstar. Saraya mentions she's traveled up and down the UK, all over Europe for free because she loves this business. And again, mentioning how she got turned down by so many wrestling companies because she's a woman. And the thing also is, again, she was the she didn't say this, but she was the anti-diva. Even though we got the Charlottes, the Beckys, the Baileys, the Sashas, the several other people. You forget that Paige was the one to truly start this transition in women's wrestling. Would we have a Britt Baker here today if it was not for Paige? Would we have the attention of like a Charlotte, a Becky, a Sasha, a Bayley, or an Asuka, or I don't know, like several others that have happened since, an Io Shirai, a Dakota Kai, a Rhea Ripley, a Mia Yim, a Toni Storm, like all these women? Would they have happened if it was not for Saraya? The message she wanted to send is the reason why she got rejected at first. She did not want to be, don't get me wrong, she's a beautiful woman. I thought that even too whenever I first saw her. But she was young, she was 21 years old when she got to the main roster. She was young, she was beautiful, she was talented, she was different. She was different, here to set a different trend. And that's why she got so popular. But anyways, she just traveled all over the UK and Europe for free because she loves this business. She, on the same day, got hit by a car and a few hours later wrestled a match. And again, she handed resumes to promoters who got turned down for being a woman. And Britt has no idea what it takes to make it. She's making revolution since before wrestling was even a twinkle in Britt's eye. Again, just like I said before, knocking it there. She's done Madison Square Garden, the Octagon, the O2, and the Tokyo Dome, and now she's in front of an ungrateful bitch. Britt doesn't know what it takes. She's been humiliated in front of millions of people and had her addictions exposed. She's given her career and her neck for this business, and Britt doesn't have a clue, but here's another opportunity handed to her on a silver platter. Again, not just the wrestling, not just being rejected at a young age. Look at everything she went through. From 2016 till now. Look at the waves her life's been. She had her drug addiction. She had 2 wellness policy violations happen to her. She had that very unhealthy relationship with Alberto Del Rio. She had those videos and photos of her leaked on the internet that just, embarrassed her too. She had so many things exposed. And yet, from the day she walked in the door, we've all stood by her side. And have always seen, the positive message, like her reason for being there. And we've all always just been able to get behind her. Britt Baker, yeah, she's only been in this business for just a handful of years. Saraya, in the 30 years she's been alive, 17 years she's been a wrestler. And the message she has sent, everything she's been through, and again, to getting back, and then just a few weeks later, losing her career altogether. They tried to take her Twitch away. They made her a SmackDown GM, then took that away. They took her off TV for being the Kabuki Warriors manager. So much shit got taken away from her. How much she had to fight to still be a superstar, and to still come out here and get this opportunity at the age of 30. To be able to get cleared and return to the ring. The freaking emotion on her face when she said it. I'm like, this gets to me. This just gets to me. And then, of course, she makes an appointment. She says this is her comeback story. And it's going to be the biggest match of Britt's career. At Full Gear. The match is on. Britt, again, was just stunned. She goes to attack Saraya, but then she ducks and catches her, and she sets her up, and she hits what she used to call her Rampage DDT. I don't know what she's going to call it now, because even afterwards, she was tweeting something on Twitter saying, I need to come up with new names for my moves, and I think it was Dax Harwood said something like, call, your DDT the good night bitch, but instead, since her last name is Knight, her real life last Well, she was Saraya Knight at one point, I think it was. Good Night Bitch will, of course, have a nice spell like Knight or something like that. I don't know what it is, but this promo, like you're saying, was just perfect. It was spot on perfect. Like I said, Britt really set it up tall and basically said, make the appointment. You're walking onto my turf. Make the appointment to claim it. And Saraya had every, remark to overcome that, to set the bar higher. She got the wall put up against her. She knocked the wall down. That is storytelling. That's a promo. That's how you get invested in a match. And like I said, you don't think Saraya is going to be a draw? If you didn't think she was going to be a draw, watch this promo. Remember her history. Remember all she's been through. The message she sent. When she first came back in 2017 for Absolution, she had every right to come back as a villain. Well, not as a villain, but as a heel with an edge to her. Because once again, while, she was dealing with her personal life, people were taking over the message she was sending. She was trying to reclaim the message that she was sending. And honest to God, I still say this to this day. If she would not have gotten hurt, I think she would have been the one to end Asuka's streak at WrestleMania. She should have been the one to end Asuka's streak at WrestleMania. As I believe so. Because that'd be fitting. That would have been the right story to tell, to have her claim her spot back on top over the rest of the Horsewoman and everything. I can't wait for this match. I absolutely cannot wait for this match. Honestly, again, if MJF wasn't so hot, I would say make this match the main event at Full Gear. If it was for MJF, I would be saying this match with Britt Baker and Saraya should main event Full Gear. What do you guys think? After this, though, after this, we have a segment with Sonjay Dutt paying Cole Carter off for his help last week. QT takes his cut of the check and leaves. And then Danhausen, the best friends, came up the steps to yell at Lee Johnson for ruining Danhausen's Halloween. And then QT tries to go Orange Cassidy into giving Lee a title match, but Orange is like, yep, cool with me, as he's been with accepting all of his matches. And then, of course, Jay Lethal blindsides Trent with a chop block and all that jazz. Then Jay Lethal took on Trent Beretta and he won. And then, of course, we were announced that, first that we had on the state that Sonjay takes a microphone from Tony Schiavone and tells him to shut up, and then says he promises a huge surprise last week. And then Jeff Jarrett comes out, and basically it just sets up for a tag match with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal taking on Sting and Darby. I don't know. I just don't care for Jeff Jarrett. I don't really care for this tag match. I mean, yes, I love Darby. I love Sting. I love Jay Lethal. It's just Jeff Jarrett's just not feeling it. Not feeling it. We have Jungle Boy being interviewed saying he wants to have a face-to-face next Friday at Rampage. And I believe from what I read, it's setting up for a steel cage match between Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus at Full Gear. Okay, that'll be interesting. We then have John Moxley, though, have a promo in response to MJF. Moxley comes out and says that when he was 25, 26, he had first met William Regal, full of piss and vinegar with no arthritis, and thought he had it all figured out and kept running his mouth. He wanted to be just like Regal, feared and respected, a real top guy. So to prove himself, he tried to pick a fight with the villain. That didn't go well. Regal tortured and brutalized him, and it pissed him off because it showed him where he is on the food chain, and to grow and evolve and get his revenge. And when he got his rematch, he showed it. He knocked Regal out and tore his ear off with a knee. Which, of course, then Regal took him under his wing and told him, now the real work begins. And who does that young kid remind him of? Young Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who Mox will face at Full Gear. He first wrestled MJF well over a year ago, and he thought he had it all figured out then, so he beat the hell out of him and sent him packing. But now, all these months later, he came back for another shot. But what's going to be different this time? He seems to be having an identity crisis. Who is MJF? Dresses nice, puts on the air of somebody rich and successful. He talks about a big-time pro wrestling champion. But Mox, though, is a multi-time millionaire world champion. And he's not fooling around. And MJF likes to call himself a pillar, even though there's no weight on him. But what's even more amusing is that he likes to call himself the devil. When John has seen the devil, met him, and looked him in his eyes, he's met some bad people, bad places. He's seen him do bad things. Moxley isn't that at all. He wants MJF to fulfill his destiny and put the company on his back, but he's not worried about the walk and the talk. He wants to see what's in MJF's guts. He wants to remember one thing to Full Gear. Everything he's done to this point has been easy. Good way, of course, to set up for Moxley's response for that match at Full Gear. Say, yes, you've done all the talking. Now show it to me in the ring. We also get another video of the Elite being erased. And we have some, like, Full Gear graphics, like, showing them on the Full Gear graphics. So I guess this means the Elite's coming back at Full Gear. Maybe for, like, an open challenge to get their trios tag titles back, maybe? Or so? I don't know. We'll see. Jamie Hayter then took on Blue Sky, got the victory. I think Tony Storm was in Blue Sky's corner getting ready for their match next Saturday. Afterwards, though, Hayter put boots to Blue briefly, but Tony chased her out of the ring. Of course, Britt Baker was out there too, and she was just, just stunned by, from Saraya over earlier tonight. Of course, we had a hype reel for Brian Cage and Dante Martin for Rampage, which Brian Cage would win. And Lance Archer was beating up Ricky Starks, which I think delayed their match on Friday. I can't remember. But it's just obviously set up some more sympathy and on the person who I think should win this now, Eliminator Tournament, Ricky Starks. MJF and Ricky Starks would be a hell of a feud to do. And then the main event was the second match with Bryan Danielson and Sammy Guevara. This time, 2 out of 3 falls match. Again, Sammy Guevara may have always been causing some controversy. Yes, he's run his mouth. Yes, he's, showed a lot of PDA online with his marriage now to Ty Mello. He's gotten in a bunch of backstage fights. Yes, he's run his mouth, but you again cannot deny how awesome he is in the ring. He actually got disqualified with the first fall because Ty Mello got between Bryan and a suicide dive. Sammy though takes a chair and I chucks it at Danielson's face, which it hits Bryan, and it causes a disqualification. He, of course, then takes Bryan to the timekeeper's table, and he was stabbing Bryan in the eye with the other end of the microphone. Over at elbows, and he literally just, bashed Bryan's face. And then we came back, and then he was able to hit a GTH on Bryan to even up things at 1 apiece. So just like that, there were 2 decisions made. And then that third fall was another, excellent battle, an excellent, third fall, sudden death finish to the match. Diving headbutts, submission maneuvers, shooting star presses to the floor. Danielson reversed a GTH into a poison Frankensteiner. The flying knee, a moonsault DDT, senton Atomico, but the knees got up. And then Danielson would then win with getting Sammy to pass out to an arm trap label lock. But it looked, the way people describe it, it looked like it was a combination of the label lock and the Rings of Saturn submission that a lot of people use. Like, I know Pac was using that. I guess he still uses it now, but he calls it the Brutalizer. I know when Hideo Itami, or Kenta now, was on 205 Live, and they took away his GTH finish. I'm sorry, his GTS finisher, and instead he was using the Rings of Saturn also. It was like a nice combination of that and the label lock, and he got Sammy to pass out to end the show. So just to kind of another way, give us a great main event match. They're both going to be in that fatal 4-way for the Ring of Honor World Title at I keep on saying Crown Jewel at Full Gear, but again, my opinion though is, even though I agree that they've definitely, they really need to stop giving so much TV time to all these Ring of Honor titles. As I keep saying, if you really want Ring of Honor titles, put them on a completely separate show, as I keep saying. Quit oversaturating, outdoing the titles for the company the actual name is on it, in my opinion. But I cannot deny this fatal 4-way with Jericho, Danielson, Guevara, and Castagnoli. Oh god, that's going to be awesome. That is going to be such an awesome fatal 4-way. The story behind it, odd, but again, I think it's going to be awesome. And with that being said, guys, that wraps up the show. That wraps up my Dynamite review. I gave the show a B. Again, I think it would have been a little bit higher, but again, a couple things I wasn't a fan of. Like, again, the stuff with Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett and Darby and Sting, I don't care for. I wasn't really the biggest fan of having Eddie Kingston lose to Ethan Page. I also... Oh yeah, the stuff with the TBS title, I just don't give a damn about. But everything else, and again, especially that Saraya and Britt promo, was just fire. On point, just awesome. So I gave the show, of course, with those few, dips, a B. A B is what I gave this. We'll check the live chat before we go off the air. I think Tosh has a few more things to say. It's the day, November 13th, that we lost Eddie Guerrero in 2005. That's true. 17 years ago today, we did lose Eddie, rest his soul. This not 2006, it's 2022. Why are we having Jeff Jarrett and Sting feud again? Also, I disagree with your opinion with Paige being the one to beat Asuka. She thinks Charlotte was the right person to beat Asuka at WrestleMania 34. Well, first off, again, I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of Jeff Jarrett. That's my thing. Sting, fine. Jeff Jarrett, I just don't get. He thinks it should have been Charlotte, though, beating Asuka at WrestleMania 34. I guess. At the time, again, Charlotte was still, only on the main roster for, 2 years at that point. She did kind of need something to, I was okay with it at the time. I just still wish they would have followed up with something better. But storyline-wise, if Paige was healthier, in order to, get her, back up on that totem pole, I think that's why, if Paige was healthier, I would have rather had her face Asuka and her be the one to end the streak, in my opinion. But if you think the opposite, that's totally fine. The guy's always Tyler. But I think I want to call it here. Take a little breather. I do have, again, I think 3 more Wolfenstein maps for episode 7 to record. I have 1 more baseball video. Well, I'm going back and forth. I'm doing Wolfenstein floor, other video. Wolfenstein floor, other video. So I'm going to do floor 7 of episode 7. Then I want to do my baseball video. Floor 8, SmackDown review, floor 9. And then try to get those all uploaded, get the commentaries. Try to maybe finish the roller. I did finish my next Roller Coaster Tycoon Let's Play last night. I gotta edit year 3 though and get that put in and export that. That's gonna be a little bit of time to export, upload. But again, all this stuff should be uploaded by tomorrow evening after work. again just keep saying again that it's going to be. I'm probably going to tone down some of this extra stuff for the next 2 weeks. Again, it is going to be busy. That's why I'm trying to get a lot done today, of course. But yeah, so I'll be back up here though in a little bit to do my SmackDown review, which was, it wasn't a horrible show, but we'll talk about when we get to SmackDown. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Dynamite. Again, better show than last week. The week before was just, other than a few things that saved it for me, it was a crap fest of a show. But this week's show, much better. But we'll talk about, of course, continuing on forward. But that's my thoughts, guys, on AEW Dynamite for the November 9th edition. Gave it a B. What are your guys' thoughts on this edition, on this episode of Dynamite? Make sure you guys leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. And be sure, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for content on my channel. And follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later on tonight for my SmackDown review. And I'll catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your Sunday. If I don't see you then, peace out, everybody.